this meeting.
Good
Thank you for all
timing.
coming.
You were
First
right on
on
time.
the agenda is to consider approving the minutes held from the September 23rd meeting.
I'd make a motion, we approve the September 23rd minutes.
I'll second it.
Move second, all in favor. Next item is to assign the town of Oakland municipal election referendum warrant.
James got a copy of that.
I have just two for you to sign, please. Would you like to have the front pages too, Don, and go with that? Would you like to do that?
So that people will think we know we're
Yeah.
signing it.
Perfect.
I can't believe how fast this year's gone by.
Sign
Just
both.
send both down together.
Yes.
Yeah, then I'll switch with you.
You can do that, sir.
What do you got, 3 sheets there?
3 sheets, I just gave you one cover sheet.
Oh,
There's
okay,
2
I was
backs.
gonna say, I don't have the whole
Yeah.
set there, didn't want him to complain.
Thank you.
All good?
All good.
Discuss reading of the weight restriction.
You've got a copy. I've made a couple of changes on this. I've had several phone calls in regards to the weight restriction on the proposed weight restriction on Rice's Brook Road. And after listening to some of these people, I thought it might be prudent to explore changing it from a weight restricted road to a no through trucks over 26,000 pounds. We have construction activity that takes place on that road. That will prevent them from contacting us every time they don't want a permit to haul on it. And I think you and I had discussed it prior to this. The other thing that I did was I received a phone call from a local farmer, and he actively farms property up on the Marston Road. And he's concerned because the tractors, if he's hauling silage back and forth or whatever, the manure that's spread on it, it's gonna be over 26,000 pounds. So I put an agriculture exemption in there. I did inadvertently transpose some words there, so I'm gonna change it, and Dana brought it to my attention, I didn't catch it. So the in and actively will be changed around. I got them backwards. Open for discussion on this. How do you feel about it? Go with the no through trucks over 26,000 pounds. It'll prevent having to have DH Panet get a yearly permit to operate. They'll solve that issue. I did talk with the owners of the company. There's no problems with them. They understand.
And I think Dick Pierce mentioned today that next door, they're building a house and the concrete truck was in and out today, and so they would have had to get a permit.
They would have had that permit.
I think the no through trucks with the weight restriction would work fine
Yep.
for me.
And if you don't see any other issues with it, we'll put it out to the first reading.
Just a clarification, no through trucks, what does that mean to us?
What that means is if you start on the Fairfield Street end, you're not gonna be able to go all the way through to Colby College. And if you start at the Colby College end, you're not gonna be able to go through all the way to the Fairfield Street end.
But anybody coming down the Marston Road can,
Well, the Rice's Rips Road actually starts right after, or just before the Marston Road. So if they come off from the Marston Road and they turn on to Rice's Rips Road, take a right turn onto it, they travel all the way through, they're gonna be in violation of this ordinance.
The town line is right on the lawn across from the brick house where Pierce's used to live. And that road from there to the pond is Armstrong Road. That's Waterville's. It's a different name.
So anybody going on the Marston Road is considered a through, is a through truck. Anybody going to Colby is a through truck.
If they start on the Fairfield Street end, then that would be, they would be in violation of this ordinance.
So basically, that's the delineation point, either on Colby or the Marston Road. Anybody entering there, coming this way, can't go through, and anybody going all the way to the Marston Road or Colby.
That's correct. And what we'll do is we'll have a sign on each end of the road with this, stating the same thing, no through trucks over 26,000 pounds, and be enforceable by the ordinance. And I did have a conversation with the owner of the warehouse. He understands what's going on, he understands the width of the road and the Colby runners and everything coming down through there. And he can't disagree that 100,000-pound tractor trailers certainly aren't meant to be on that road.
Does Colby,
Talked with Colby College, it's not an issue. They're getting chips for their boiler from one of our local people, and the most of the time they're traveling down Washington Street. Once in a while they do travel up, and they're planning to talk to Gus, and Gus is going to let them know to no longer use the West restriction. So I covered all the bases and I talked with everybody.
Just a good idea, saves everyone.
Saves our road, it saves the potential.
Pedestrians running, poor people running, biking, walking.
You know, it's hard, and a lot of these young people don't get out of the way, you know, I mean, so you got an oncoming tractor trailer coming down there, you got your person in the vehicle going the other way and nobody moves, somebody's gonna get run over.
All good?
Any other discussion on that?
Is this substantially enough like our discussion last time to be the first reading, or do we have to?
It has not been posted for a first.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
I'd
made some
make a
changes.
motion, we accept this ordinance and have it posted for the first reading.
second,
All in favor?
Thank you, then.
Next item is to discuss and approve liquor license for a special amusement after Waterville Country Club.
Same thing that you got last meeting, no changes have been made.
Just give me five, what about four?
We're gonna do 4, yeah.
Well, I jumped right in.
That's okay.
Well, let's talk about Waterville Country Club. No, my apologies. I know I put a line through. Discuss a second reading of amendment general assistance and ordinance. Sorry.
No
We messed up
change.
last night.
No.
I'd make a motion, we accept this as a second reading of this change to the general assistance ordinance.
second.
All in favor? Now we'll go to number 5.
Requires a signature.
And we'll go on to number 5. This is, number 5 is Dawn signing, we'll go ahead and continue on with this. Discuss approval liquor license for a special amusement permit at the Waterville Country Club.
No remarkable events that have taken place over the last year up there. You know, they behave themselves, and I see no problems with renewing this liquor license.
I'd make a motion to grant him that one.
All in favor?
2 documents to be signed on that, the liquor license itself and then the special amusements permit also. Back page on the liquor license.
Seemed like last year we missed one of them. She had to call us back and go over it. Oh, I was supposed to sign it.
No, no. Sorry,
Would you put my name up there?
no, I didn't. My handwriting's not that neat, it's her. Oh. See? So she just take care of you.
I didn't even know. Well, boy, I found a place to sign one here. You
Last page.
think I could? You said there was 2 places for,
Next page.
No, I did. No.
oh, another one coming, okay.
You just take your time.
We have this divided desk up here, this little bridge between us.
fine now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Manager, it's now your turn.
We have a special guest here today, Rachel Whitney, and she's here to do a presentation from the Friends of Maslowski. And I'm going to, at this point, turn the show over to her. And the projector.
Yeah, I might need help with.
All you're gonna do, Rachel, is turn this on, and we'll just put this over here. That will warm up, and we'll hit the
Awesome.
lights.
And I've been buzzing Gary up and get the lights, so well, she's gonna
No, I
get.
won't.
You wouldn't jump up?
I was gonna knock her over.
Second.
I knew you would jump for us. I was rooting for you though, buddy.
All right. Well, I'm Rachel Whitney. I'm the program coordinator for the Friends of Maslowski. This is a presentation that we're giving to all the towns. Some of the information you guys might already know, but mostly it's about our milfoil problem, what programs we've done this summer, and there are a few maps to show you where we have worked in the Oakland portion of the lake. So. One of our biggest issues, as I'm sure you know, is variable leaf milfoil. It can destroy lake ecosystems and economic resources. When allowed to, it can grow big monocultures that can smother out native plants, ruining the biodiversity of the native plants and, in turn, the biodiversity of the fish and other wildlife. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, so I can't talk very well. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll sit down so you can see this. It does eliminate swimming opportunities. It does tangle in motors and snags fishing line. There are documented cases out west of a couple drownings related to this, people getting caught in the milfoil. When it does grow in these big mats, it does lower oxygen levels and it heats the water in certain areas. This picture I took, it was in the Maslowski stream, right below the race rips power dam there. So that is a new spot this year. The DEP didn't recognize it.
Where is it again, Rachel?
The races rip, that
Oh,
like
the races rip.
the outflow area there. Yeah, it's chock-a-block full starting from there. I'll show the maps later where we were in the stream. Economically, I don't know how many of you have heard of Lake Arrowhead. In 2007, they had an appraiser go to all of the lakefront homes, and he ruled, or it was a general ruling, that 10% of the property value went down for all houses there, all land. For those with severe infestations, another 10%. At the Milfoil Summit this year, the representative from that lake, Mike Fitzpatrick, he confirmed that it's a 35% decrease in property value, and that rose their mill rate by 2. Current programs that we have right now, benthic barriers is one of the most effective ways of getting rid of the milfoil, either with plastic tarps, which is just really thick black plastic, pushed down, it kind of suffocates the plant, blocks out the sunlight. And now we're doing, hopefully next year we're going to start some more extensive burlap testing, which it's biodegradable. We don't have to move it, unlike the plastic tarps. The plastic you do have to move within 60 days as a DEP regulation, but they kind of turn their back at that, and they know that we go for longer. You know, we leave it there over the winter. So, Co-Patrol is a volunteer program where those residing along the lake report back to us. You know, erosion areas, new plant findings, you know, suspicious activity, so forth.
On the plastic barriers, have you had any of it in long enough to, after you take it out, to see how long before it will be back?
Yeah, you know, it's very strategic how you do it, and, you know, generally, there's so many recommendations, but usually you start at a square and you move in every 60 days, because what happens in the fall is the mature plants lay down.
Mhm.
So even if you move it 60 feet, like, it might not grow there, but the neighboring plants might lay down on top of it, and it'll just grow the colony over again. In a smaller area, it's, you know, it can be very, very effective. In CBIs, I'm sure you guys, you all know the courtesy boat inspections they do. They check for the plants on the boats going in and out. The new water quality initiative, we are partnering with Colby. They're working with all the other lake associations in the area for the water quality testing. And our dash boat, so that's, I'm sure, hopefully you guys have all seen it. If not, I have a couple pictures. It's a suction harvester, so it's like an underwater vacuum that helps our divers. So they hand pull from the roots up, and it just sucks it up all through the boat where you catch it into a net. And I have some pictures of that. So on the left is our plastic barriers. It's white on top so we can find it in black on the bottom. These are really nice barriers. Then the end
Can
of
you
our
use those
dash boat.
over again?
What's that?
Can you use those over again?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
the deeper you
Yeah, these, we have to just keep dragging them. You know, they're gonna last forever. Whereas the burlap, we might need to add another layer, but we never move it. So, because these are huge. These are, I think these ones are 30 feet long. They're really heavy. So, you know, it takes a team. It's weighted down with rebar, and it's underwater. So it's heavy. And starting this year, we actually worked with the DEP on a composting study. So that's, I don't know when they're going to finalize that or actually going to start the testing on it, but one of our board members took some of this milfoil and is mixing it in with his goat manure, and they're trying to find out if we can actually legally, because right now it's illegal to compost milfoil, if you legally do it to their standards, if we could, you know, sell it or use it for a purpose, because right now milfoil has no purpose. People are wondering, what do we do with it? It has nowhere to go.
So when you dry it out, Rachel, when it dries out, how much mass does it lose? What's the moisture
geez.
content? Is it
I don't know. I don't
couple
know.
100%?
It's
moisture
fairly small, but the concern here is if composted, it has a, what's the term? It has a terrestrial version.
Oh yeah, it can grow on land.
It can grow on land, so
If
you
it's
don't
wet
want
enough
to
or if it
compost it,
rains.
have it grow on land, give it to somebody, they use it, and then it gets into
Yeah.
their water body.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this test is to see if the composting of it prevents that from happening,
Mhm.
and then it could be used as compost.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's a rugged
pervasive.
plant.
It's pretty rugged. It's like the cockroach of weeds.
Oh, it's terrible. We had a few different programs out actually by this boat landing here. We had a plant identification workshop for some local folks who wanted to be part of our coast patrol. So people are just curious what lake plants look like and how to identify them. So that was a lot of fun. The bottom picture is actually from, I think, the Morning Sentinel, because we had a 2-day workshop here with the DEP. We used the Memorial Hall. That
The
was
statewide workshop?
Yes. Yep. Statewide. It was a lot of fun. It was really busy, but it was good. People learned a lot. And now the maps where we've been. So we've started using, it's a interactive online mapping place where colleges go, the government, other organizations. You can go anywhere in the country. You can see where their milfoil is, what they're doing for their treatments, what their sediment is, what the temperature is. It's a really, really neat resource. And we wanted a way so people could actually go and see what we're doing live.
And this
basically.
is a map of the Oakland property?
Yeah, I'm just going to show you the Oakland right now. So, up at the upper right is the basin area, the boat landing. The blue is survey area. The green is our treatment. So even if there weren't that many plants there, we were underwater or over water, treating floating plants. Yellow is kind of the spread of the plant. So So the Oakland Basin area, it really is chock-a-block full of it. I don't know how many of you boat over there, but you know, it's right at the surface. That's actually one of the deeper areas that it is right there. Willie Point, that's ongoing. I don't know how many years we've been in there, but we've actually made a dent in there, which is nice. Going southwards, Browns Island, there are a few individuals along the island, and across from it there was a milfoil buoy, which at some point there was milfoil, and I think I pulled 2 individuals. Myself and another diver dove there for an entire day. Could not find a single thing, which is great. So we moved that buoy. This is on both sides of Morris Point. These are new infestations that we've found. They're also very tall. And down by Blake Island, so this is like the second island down, in the cove across from that was chock-a-block full. We pretty much got a good handle on that this year. We do have a test burlap site, which is doing great. And then along the hazard area, where the pond weeds are right there, we comb through pretty well. And that's kind of a zoomed out version of the Oakland portion. This year we did, for the first time, actually look at the Messalonsky Stream. So this is behind the post office and House Pizza. And I think just the flow is too forceful, nothing can really grow there. We did find 2 individuals behind the House Pizza. And the stream, which is unfortunate, but it is there. I did not find it until the Rice Rips Road. And
Until when, wait, Rachel?
the Rice is Rip.
Rice Rips Road,
right
okay.
there. You know, it might be in some of the deeper areas. I actually didn't look because I put in right over here. I didn't go upstream too far. It could be right here. I'm probably gonna check that next year. But from the Rice Rips Road under the highway bridges, it's scattered big, huge clumps. We did bring the DEP down to see for themselves, and now it is a recognized milfoil area. Their concern is going into the Kennebec. I didn't go down there yet. They have not, but another DEP official said she had been there and it's there. So
It's in the Kennebec.
yes, at least at the mouth. So
That's
that's
good.
what's good.
Has to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean,
Water flows downhill.
yeah. So milfoil, it only grows, you know, up to maybe 18 feet. So it's not going to grow too deep or with the
How
water
tall
flow.
was it?
What's that?
How tall did you say it gets?
It only goes to like 18 at the
18
most.
feet?
I mean,
That's the water depth,
yeah,
because it has to have light to grow, so.
right. And like it's just started at some point.
So how tall do the plants actually get?
They can get to the surface.
So
This
they can
year-
be 18-foot plants?
Oh, yeah. I was at it this year. I was looking up at it. It was at the surface, and I think we were at 16 feet, and it was at the surface.
How big's the stalk? Are they big stalks or are they?
It looks big. Like that's an underwater picture of
I
it.
see.
So it frills out, but it's very, very thin.
Yeah.
And then this time of year, it's very brittle. Like you put your hand over it, it'll break into a million pieces, which will cause new colonies.
When you pull these up, do you actually pull the root ball out also?
Yes, yeah. It mostly grows in mucky areas, so it can be really easy just to grab a hold of it, but there's no guarantee of getting all the roots.
So if the root gets left behind, it can regenerate
Yes.
itself.
Yeah.
So it's a constant ongoing battle.
It is. So everyone all across the country is working with this. We are fortunate. I think only 2% of Maine lakes have it, which is great. Only 2%. That's a lot. And we don't want to get to the point where we have to mow it, which is what a lot of states are doing.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And we have some help from the geology of the lake, because
Yeah.
it is deep in a lot of space. I mean, there still is a 100-foot section of that lake. It's not going to get down there, obviously. and it's not gonna probably get in the real high flow areas.
So plants, like any other organism, adapts to its
Yeah, that's right,
circumstances, you know,
Yeah.
and
No, the objective is to be able to prevent it from people recreationally using the lake. I mean, the biggest effect on property values is recreational use. It's an economic engine that allows, those property values to remain high. And so if we can prevent it from getting to the point where it's so thick and so covered that people are preventing from using the lake, the fact that it's there is not an issue. It's if you can control it to some level where it doesn't affect the recreational use of the lake. And that's kind of where we are. So we're not trying to get rid of it all. There's no way we could do that. But we think that the plan that we have, and the purpose of making this presentation is give you some general information. We'll come back later with our request, obviously, but the request and the budget for next year is at a level where we think we can control it. It's fairly substantial. We're talking about, we did 14 weeks of work this year with 2 teams, so that's 28 weeks of work. And next year, we're not going to do that much because the funding isn't going to be there for everything. But we think if we get down to about 8 weeks with a week on the front end and a week on the back end to prepare and tear down, so 8 weeks of actual work, we can, at least in the main part of the lake, maintain the system.
what about any of the neighboring lakes in Oakland? New Pond, East Pond, anybody checking that, or is that a problem?
Oh, no,
Oh yeah,
they're checking it.
they do get checked. They have, I don't know if you heard, like rapid response.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it was salmon, got some, the lake got, I think.
Yeah, it was Salmon Lake that
salmon.
Salmon Lake had a little infestation a couple of years ago, and the DEP came in and zapped it. Well,
Oh, yeah.
DEP came in and they actually used herbicide on that because it was small enough and they got rid of it.
And you and I talked about herbicide.
Yeah.
And that's a potential solution, or?
Well, Maine is very restrictive in the use of herbicides. They'll only use it in very limited situations. Our situation isn't limited. However, having said that, we actually do have a very good relationship with the DEP, the portion that we're working with John McFedrin and his team down in Augusta. We meet with them regularly, and actually they funded us substantially last year to do a lot of this work. So we are still talking about that, but it would require legislation or some approval from the commissioners at least, which is not easy to get. And there's even if you got it, there's issues associated with it because there's still people in Messalonsky Lake that are using that lake for drinking water.
Yep.
Not many, but a few. So, and the other key thing is what Rachel and these people have put together for monitoring this. We now have a system. This is all done with GPS assessment and using their phones to map it, and we can keep track of it much better than we did before. It's all online, and so it's not like just flailing around. We can keep good records, and we know what we've done. We know what somebody asked about the effect of it. We can go back and look at the effect of what we did last year and get a good idea of what's working and what's not. I guess the bottom line is it's a lot of work. We do have a lot of volunteers. The towns, Oakland has been very consistent in supporting this over the years. The other towns have bellied up to the bar now in the last few years. It's nice to see Belgrade and Sydney doing that as well. And but it's going to be an ongoing process, and I guess that's what we wanted to get across is what we've done. Hopefully you can see it's an organized effort. We have an objective of what we're trying to do, especially in the Oakland area, and so you get some confidence that whatever we spend there is going to be worthwhile.
Well, and I think the key point here is these lakes are an economic generator.
Yeah.
Any Friday or Saturday, you count the boats that are coming down
Yeah.
on Candy and fueling up at Mexico and buying their ice and everything
Oh, yeah.
else to recreate. They're spending money to come
Yeah.
out here, and we certainly don't want to lose that.
No, it's our other message that we're doing tomorrow night has that chart about the lowest mill rate for a full service town. A lot of that is because we have revenue from those areas on the lake, and we've got to keep that. So anyway, that was the purpose of it.
Have you heard from any other places in the country where they've had a lake and they've done the things you folks are doing and actually beat it back some, or is it just continual
I think
thing?
I'm not so sure, but I think they did try some of this.